Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Apprenticeship Texas All Systems Go Town Hall. We're so happy that everyone was able to join us today. My name is Alicia Boyd and I am an apprenticeship specialist with the Texas Workforce Commission. I'm a little bit new to the team, so thank you. And again, we know the last week has not been an easy one, so we appreciate that everyone made the time today. It's nice to meet you all virtually. So before we get started, I did just want to cover a couple of quick housekeeping notes. You'll notice that the question and answer box is available to you if you just hover at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to use that throughout our program today if you have any questions, if you need more information. My kind coworker, Kimberly Patterson, agreed to man that today, so she'll be answering your questions. If there are questions that you think of after the event, you can always reach our team at apprenticeshiptexas@twc.state.tx.us. Feel free to reach out to us there. And then after today's event, we'll be posting a document that has all of those questions and answers, as well as our PowerPoint slides and a recording of the webinar for your use. So feel free to access that at apprenticeshiptexas.com. All right, we have a couple of announcements. We are excited to announce that our 4th annual Apprenticeship Texas Conference will be held this fall, September 23rd and 24th at the McAllen Convention and Visitors Bureau. We'll be opening registration soon this spring, so keep a lookout for it. If you're not already on our mailing list, that's how we reach people with the registration link. So feel free to drop your email address in our Q&A, and Kimberly will capture those. She'll save that and we'll add you to that mailing list. You can also send it to us. You can email it to us and we'll get you added in. Speaking of the mailing list, another good reason to get on is that we have a quarterly newsletter that will be coming out this spring as well, and we don't want you to miss that. It will be full of best practices. We'll also be highlighting a lot of the amazing work that so many of you are doing in areas across the state. So look out for that in the spring as well. All right, so today's event, I think all of us can agree that in the past year, we've all leaned pretty heavily on our information technology professionals. They've helped all of us to be able to stay safe. They've helped us to be efficient and productive at home. They've helped us to communicate and stay connected with one another. So it's no surprise that this is a sector that has experienced growth despite the pandemic. And that's why today's event, we really want to focus in on those careers in IT and how registered apprenticeship can help employers in that sector to be able to develop a sustainable workforce development strategy. So to do that, we have subject matter experts from here at the Texas Workforce Commission. We also have some of our friends from the U.S. Department of Labor. We have a couple of panels for you a little bit later on. They will feature folks from the South Texas Electrical JATC as well as NPower. So we really look forward to sharing all of this information with you. All right, well, without any further ado, let's go ahead and kick things off. We're going to start off with a champion of registered apprenticeship from the Texas Workforce Commission. He is our labor commissioner, and in that role, he really works tirelessly to make sure that the concerns of more than 14 million Texas workers are heard and they are considered in all commission actions. His leadership, his enthusiasm, his passion for his work, it's helped our team to stay motivated. It's helped us to achieve great things, and we truly do appreciate that. So without any further ado, let's welcome our commissioner, Julian Alvarez III.
Thank you, Ms. Boyd. And I'm so excited that all of you have joined us for the February Apprenticeship Town Hall meeting. It's so exciting. I've seen the agenda and the panel and the experts that you have speaking to you today are you're in for a treat, and you're going to hear some great things that are happening, and you're going to hear about how IT has grown in Texas as far as in the apprenticeship world. You know, IT skills are required in all occupations, and I think we all know that. And you know, I'm going to share something with you that I shared with the group prior to us being on. And that is that the apprenticeship period is no longer the best kept secret. I think you would all agree with me when we talk about everyone is talking about apprenticeship. And so platforms like this are certainly valuable. And I mentioned that you hear today, you can share it with your colleagues. I'm glad to see that we have folks that represent the workforce solutions boards. I'm glad to see we have the EDCs joining us, the community colleges. Those obviously are our champions. I'm glad to see folks like a TEA are joining us, Laura Torres, and who's talking about reliable energy. I mean, talking about how we've expanded apprenticeship throughout the state of Texas. But I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the great people that we have that lead our charge. And it's people like Desi Holmes and Tara and Alicia and all the folks that we have there, George, and I can't think of everyone, Kimberly, just thank you for all you all do. And of course, Ann Fan. The pandemic has just highlighted how important it is to have these skills. Those individuals possessing these skills were more easily able to transition teleworking jobs. Wouldn't you all agree that IT was important during this time? Employers continue to demand that workers possess and increase their skills in IT. IT jobs remain in demand in all sectors. You think about it, even in construction, you have to have some basic knowledge of IT in every sector. Higher education has understood the value of apprenticeship. Texas A&M University recently had a cybersecurity students that were hired for a one-year apprenticeship program, providing them with an opportunity to refine their skills while working for the university. How amazing is that? You know, just this year, it was interesting to hear of all the programs that were actually started during 2020 as a result of us experiencing one of the worst things that we've ever experienced. Though here at the Texas Workforce Commission, we had challenges, obviously with unemployment insurance cases that we had, the high number of individuals that were out of work. But let me tell you, we were able to put those individuals through an apprenticeship program, short-term, long-term. We were listening to employers, being able to listen to their needs and put people back to work. But all of this couldn't have been done if it hadn't been for all of us collectively working together. I am so excited that we listen to folks in Missouri, and I think my friends at NPower who do great work serving those that are underserved, at risk, military servicemen, transitioning military servicemen. I love what they do, but I think he'd be happy to hear that in Sacramento, we took what was working there. Nothing wrong with listening and taking initiatives that are working in other parts of the country and putting an IT apprenticeship program together. And you'll hear more about that from Desi Holmes as this program continues. I'm just so excited to be a part of this. It's amazing what all of you collectively have done. For our first-time viewers, I hope that this program will encourage you and motivate you to think outside the box, see the value of an apprenticeship program, understand what the difference between pre-apprenticeship, apprenticeship, and how we can work together in blending services. You'll hear from folks that have barriers, whether they're disabled, transitioning veterans, foster youth. This is going to be a great program, and we are planning to continue to do more. And I hope that many of you will attend our conference in South Texas. Later on, you'll hear the specifics on that. But again, thank you to our apprenticeship team. Thank you to all of those that are actually viewing today's presentation for all you do. And thank you for keeping the apprenticeship model, I should say, for no longer keeping it a secret, but sharing what are some of the advantages of putting something like this together. We're listening to industry. Think about what's happened in 2020 with Oracle, with Amazon, with Tesla, and all the other companies that are moving into Texas. It's being able to customize the training. So thank you for everyone who's on, for taking time out of your busy schedules to be on and to listen to this great program that I think that you'll be in treat for. So Desi, thank you. Alicia, back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Commissioner. That was very inspiring. We always appreciate your passion for what you do. And we are now going to head over to my supervisor, my boss, Ms. Desi Holmes. She has an update from our side of things. So Desi, I'll let you take it away.
Good afternoon. I do appreciate all of y'all showing up today. I know last week put a kink in everybody's schedule and has made this week kind of a hectic week as well. So I appreciate your time. My team appreciates the time that you're spending with us today. And we've put together what I think and what the team thinks is going to be a great session for y'all, with great input from both training programs and employers. So first of all, I want to thank the commissioner for always coming and supporting us and kicking us off, because he's such a motivation to us as our team, and I think to everybody as far as registered apprenticeship. I just take a minute of your time and say thank you to those that applied for some of the money that came out in our $10 million RFA. We'll be getting those grants kicked off in April. But we have some more funding that will be coming forth, and we hope that some of y'all will pay attention. One reason this session is kind of focused on IT is we have $3 million that the commissioners, all three of them, voted on to put out to support development of IT programs. And the cost per on that grant is going to be $4,000, which is double what we've been doing in our normal grants. So if y'all are interested and have demand in your area to work on development of IT programs, I encourage you to look for that coming out. And I'm not going to quote the website for you, but if you go to Google and type in all one word, Texas Smart Buy, it comes up, and you can look at all of our grants. The IT grant should come out tomorrow or very early next week. It's right on the cusp of being posted. Another opportunity that will be coming out probably in April will be the agency put $1 million towards pre-apprenticeship. We've been getting a lot of inquiries about supporting pre-apprenticeship. For those of you that are interested in that, if you would do, it's a $4,000 cost per on that as well. And probably end of April, 1st of May, we'll be putting out another apprenticeship expansion grant. I don't know how much will be in that grant. I don't know what the cost per will be in that grant, but it should be coming up the end of April or early May. And I'm not saying that's the only thing that we do for y'all. If you need help or want to discuss strategies in developing your registered apprenticeship programs, your employer wants to discuss it, that's what we're here for, is to help you discuss it, plan it, strategize, make sure that you have all the boxes checked to move forward with registered apprenticeship. You have your employer there guiding what they want, he or she want in their program. We are here. The easiest way to reach us, and it's in the program, apprenticeship text is at twc.state.tx.us. That's what all of us are waiting to help you. So call if you think you have a dumb question. There's never no dumb question. We're here to help you no matter what your questions are. So thank you for being here. We appreciate your time. We hope by the end of this session, you won't think that we wasted not 1 minute of your time. So I'm going to turn it back over to Alicia. And again, thanks, Commissioner, for kicking us off.
Thank you so much, Desi. And it's always nice to have good news to share with our partners. Well, now we are going to move right along to our labor market and career information team member, William Lutz. And many of you may be familiar with this group within the TWC because they do such important work. Their reporting, their research, and the information that they gather about trends in the market here in Texas, it really informs so many of the decisions that we make at the Texas Workforce Commission. And today we have one of the economists from that team who has agreed to join us, William Lutz. He has been with the Texas Workforce Commission since 2012. He holds a Master of Arts degree in economics from the University of Washington, and we are thrilled to have him join us. So without any further ado, welcome, Mr. William Lutz.
Hello, thank you. It's really good to be here. One of the things that's been really fun for me to watch in my time at TWC has been how the apprenticeship model has expanded to both in terms of numbers and in terms of the different occupations that people are starting apprenticeship programs in. I was asked today to talk briefly about some of the future labor market statistics we have for IT. So we put some numbers together to talk about the tremendous growth we've seen in Texas in a lot of IT-related occupations. The slide you just see, we do labor market projections. They come out every other year. We take a base year and we project forward 10 years, looking at past trends and a lot of other economic information. And if you notice in this chart, we state that, that we estimate the state as a whole, all occupations, we estimate in the 10-year period from 18 to 28, that we're going to see 12.65% growth. And our median wage in 2019 for all occupations was $38,013. So if we're looking at occupations that we want to encourage young people or people who are re-careering to go into, people who are looking to start a career, what you want is a occupation that has above average growth and pays above the state median, because that's a really good career bet in the long term. So if you look, I was asked to pull data on the occupations that are most commonly apprenticed in, or that we're interested in expanding apprenticeships in the IT field: information security analysts, software developers applications, software developer system software, computer user support specialists, and computer network support specialists. And if you look at all of those occupations, notice that all of them are above the state average in terms of the percent change of employment that we expect over the next 10 years based on past trends. And just recent news, like what the commissioner cited, every time we open the newspaper, it seems like another IT company is moving to Texas. So you've got strong growth potential in the long term for all of these occupations. But another key fact is look at the wages. The wages are substantially higher than the state average, now the state median. So that's a good combination. Strong growth, so workers are likely to find a job when they get the skills they need, and wages that are above the state median. Now, granted, you're not going to make the median wage when you start a profession, but you want to see that the path you're on leads you to something where you can live a good standard of living. And these IT occupations meet that very common sense criteria. Now, there are obviously a lot of other apprenticeable occupations that also meet that criteria, but this shows you that IT is a good long-term career bet. Now let's look at a little more recent data. If you could get to my next slide. Every month we produce industry data that tells you what the employment change is in the industries in Texas. And if you notice, the non-farm employment change from December 2019 to December 2020 is a negative 3.3%, which obviously reflects the impact of COVID on our economy. Private sector, it's negative 3.5%. But let's take a look at a couple of key industries that relate to computing. Data processing, hosting, and related services is up 2.2%, and computer systems design and related services is up 9.4%. Any industry that grew in calendar year 2020 has really strong potential, because just look at how percentage-wise they beat the state average. So you are dealing with industries and occupations in the IT field that have had really strong long-term growth potential, and also really strong results even in spite of the economic dislocation we saw in calendar year 2020. And just as a general rule, they don't quite make the data this specific at the state level, but what we've noticed about COVID is the industries that did well from an employment change perspective in 2020 were industries that were amenable to teleworking. So now there were exceptions, but in general, the more amenable an industry was to teleworking, the more likely you were to see numbers in terms of employment change that were better than the state average change. So you've got really strong numbers that can, from a resource allocation perspective, justify encouraging people who are early in their careers to consider apprenticeships in the IT field. and also for companies who are looking for labor, obviously, would be very interested in partnering with our labor community to help facilitate all of that. So that's a brief overview of what the numbers look like. If you could advance to my last slide. We are here to help at LMCI. This is just a very brief overview of what the numbers look like in IT. If you wanted to find numbers that relate to your region, we encourage you to go to texaslmi.com, which is our main data website. And all of our data is public and published there. We work with the Bureau of Labor Statistics to produce it. We have some regional profiles that can give you an at-a-glance look at what's going on in your area and what's going on in industries that you might be interested in. Our texaswages.com site is a quick reference site that will help you look at how an occupation is doing in several regions. And we also have projections data on our texaswages.com site. And you can also call us because one of the things we've noticed with COVID is there are significant regional variations and industry variations within the economy. So we are happy to walk you through how to find data in your region that you might be interested in for occupations and industries that you're interested in. And that'll give you, we have wage data, we have employment change data at a variety of geographic levels. And we're here to help because this is your data and we want to help you use it to help employers and employees in the state of Texas. Thank you very much for inviting me to be a part of this. I'm honored to be part of this distinguished panel. And like I said, feel free to follow up with us if there's anything we can do to help. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Will. We truly do appreciate all the research that you put into that, and thank you for sharing that with us today. Well, now we are going to move on to our panels. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a couple of training providers that have agreed to join us and explain how their IT apprenticeships have found success. So first up, our first distinguished guest, he started his career as a registered apprentice in North Carolina, and he worked hard to become a journeyman wireman. Since then, he has gone on to become a master electrician in the state of Texas, and he has held various field leadership positions in the IBEW, including his current role as training director of the South Texas Electrical JATC. He's also the president of the San Antonio chapter of the Apprenticeship and Training Association of Texas, and he is a recent appointee of the Texas Workforce Investment Council. So, John Martin, thank you for joining us today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Now, first off, I know you brought someone with you today. Could you introduce that guest for us?
Oh, absolutely. And my pleasure. I would like to introduce Joseph Weil. He is the Vice President and Operations Manager of CDI Technology Services. Joseph also sits on our Joint Apprenticeship and Training Committee representing labor. He's also one of the committee members on our interview committee. He is a passionate supporter of trade education and training, especially with apprenticeships. So we're glad to have him today.
Excellent. I can't wait to hear from him. All right. Well, just to give us a little bit of background, could you describe what the South Texas Electrical JATC registered apprenticeship is like?
Sure, absolutely. So first and foremost, the South Texas Electrical JATC, we are a multi-employer Department of Labor registered apprenticeship program. In fact, we've been registered since 1946. We operate as a 501c3 nonprofit. We are jointly sponsored by the IBEW, or International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 60 here in San Antonio, as well as the South Texas chapter, NECA, or National Electrical Contractors Association. Our program is really comprised of two tracks. We do have an inside wireman or electrician's track, which is a 5-year program, and we also have a 3-year telecommunication technician program. Essentially, we are the training arm of the Electricians Union and 27 area electrical and telecommunication contractors such as CDI. The apprenticeship program, what makes it unique is that it really blends the street smarts and the book smarts. Our students, they're provided the opportunity to be assigned and then employed by our contractors. They get to work in the field full time, earning a good wage and good benefits. We also supplement and enhance their training and education by bringing them into the classroom and training them through synchronous and asynchronous related classroom studies and activities. I mentioned that our students are paid an hourly wage. In fact, entry level, no experience required, brand new to the program. Those students are paid a wage north of $12 an hour plus associated benefits. In fact, that equals over $15 an hour initially. In brief, our students do enjoy the benefits of 2,000 hours worked each year, in addition to 176 hours of classroom studies. To really dive in a little more to the telecommunication track, our telecommunication track really came to be in 2002. So in 2002, we stood up a telecommunication apprenticeship program. Since then, we've had 57 graduates. Those students do work full time and they do attend class as mentioned, and they'll do so in the evenings and then work full time with their contractor. Over the 3-year program, our students will have earned roughly 6,000 hours of on-the-job training hours, as well as 550 classroom hours. Their earning potential will go from that $16 an hour total package to roughly $22, $23 an hour. And that's not considering overtime opportunities.
Wow. Well, that is impressive. I mean, 1946, that was a long time ago. So your organization definitely has a lot of experience with registered apprenticeships. Do you feel like that experience helped you to create a non-traditional program or add this element, this non-traditional telecom element in?
No, certainly, and without a doubt. As you mentioned, we are not a stranger to registered apprenticeship. 1946, that's some time ago. And we know that the apprenticeship model is time tested and proven, especially as related to dexterous and tactile occupations such as telecommunication. We also know that the apprenticeship is a structured training program, which is a proven model which can be replicated and tailored to meet individual needs for an industry or a company.
Okay.
You know?
Did you have any surprises along the way?
Really no surprises. I mean, we've had a solid blueprint to work from, and the support and assistance of our stakeholders, our industry and registration agencies. To highlight just a few of our successes, even of recent, over this past year, we stood up a BICSI authorized training facility. And BICSI is a standardization organization that we adhere to within the telecommunication trade. And we are one of only 10 programs in the state of Texas. In fact, we're the only one here in South Texas. And we were able to do that by working with and through TWC and the Workforce Solutions Alamo to secure a TIP grant, which helped us with some of the funding to get this initiative off the ground. And I'm also proud to say, as of January 1st, we were recognized as an authorized training facility. So we are conducting specialized training in telecommunication through BICSI, which could also lead to technician certification. Also, through some of the initiatives and taking advantage of the opportunities that are presented by TWC and Workforce Solutions and the like, we also were able to develop a meaningful partnership with St. Philip's College. And this was really capitalizing off of a lot of the work that was done with the crosswalk that helps link and bridge, advanced education with apprenticeship programs in industry. So we were able to take advantage of that and kind of use that as sort of the basis and a framework to establish a meaningful relationship whereby our completers going through apprenticeship will now be awarded up to 45 college level credits, hourly credits towards a degree, an associate's degree in electrical through St. Philip's College, and vice versa. There's now a pathway for their completers to be able to come into our program and possibly get advanced standing based on the work they've done through the community college. So a lot of great work's been done. We've been able to take advantage of it, and we're so very grateful for everything that TWC, Workforce Solutions, Department of Labor, and everybody else has really done to help programs like ours.
Awesome. Well, I love that you brought that up. Those crosswalks are so amazing, and so many people don't associate apprenticeship with post-secondary education. They think that there's a separation, but they're all one and the same. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Now, you did mention that you brought along Mr. Joseph Weil, who is the Vice President over at CDI Technologies. And Joseph, I'd love to ask you a couple of questions from the employer's perspective. So what benefits have you obtained from registered apprenticeship?
Yes, ma'am. A lot of benefits. I would say the primary one is the broad spectrum of training that is afforded to all of our apprentices. As a contractor, we focus on the projects that we have on the books before us. And a lot of times there are skills that we don't encounter a need for every day, but when we do have a need, we need people who are familiar with those areas of the industry and have training related to it. And the apprenticeship program provides a structured curriculum that bridges some of those gaps that, as a contractor training my personnel, I may not have opportunity to give them real world experience in all of those areas. Additionally, the standardization of training allows me to know that if I have a candidate who has graduated from an apprentice program, I know what my expectations for them are. They're standardized, and we're able to provide a more consistent product to our customers to continue to grow in the industry. Another great advantage is the ability of the architects of the apprenticeship program to focus not just on the present, but also future needs of the industry. Anyone in the IT industries or our arena knows that we work in the fastest changing industry that there is. What's current today is going to be legacy in 2 to 3 years. So having a program that can adapt to those needs and adapt the training to future expectations does a lot to prepare us for what's coming and focus that direction. We live in a day where everything is becoming an IT industry. Just in the electrical industry that John was mentioning, we see a transition of traditional electrical technologies over to IP-based systems. Lighting controls, building automation systems, security and surveillance, all of those are elements of the IT industry now. And we see a growing need for what used to be technical labor positions, that of electrician or technician, also having elements of configuration of network switches, of programming, and we're able to provide that kind of specialized training. So the benefits are extreme.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, you brought up so many good points. Like, that's very true, how pervasive internet information technology is, how pervasive the Internet of Things is in our daily lives. We don't even think about it anymore. So those are really good points. Now, those are the benefits. Did you have to face any challenges along the way as you developed the program?
I think the largest challenges had to do with, we began, as John mentioned, this program here in 2002. The biggest challenges I think that we faced were with some of those changing technologies and understanding the differences between IT and the traditional, more mechanical systems of communications. Those are challenges that come with every area of education. It's simply understanding the subject matter and the nuanced differences between arenas. As a contractor, the challenges have really surrounded finding new and innovative ways to retain apprentices within the program and retain interest in those employees going forward. I think for every employer, there's a challenge dealing with the new generations that we deal with, the young people today who have more of a tendency to want to change positions and grow through moving from company to company, industry to industry. And I think what we've found, what I've certainly found as an employer, is that investing time and resources into our employees is never a bad thing. I think there's always a mentality somewhere that says, I don't want to train these people just so they can leave me and do better for one of my competitors. But what I found is that if we do everything we can to provide the best education, best qualifications, and best living to our employees, the majority of them are going to find appreciation for that and are going to have a desire to stay. The other advantage is being party to a multi contractor apprenticeship program like we are, we have the advantage that if for any reason we do lose apprentices or lose technicians, either due to a work shortage where we have to reduce our forces, or if they simply go to try greener pastures elsewhere, there's a great likelihood of them returning to us in the future when the need arises. That connection between contractors and working with our competitors, having a friendly competition, as it were, means those benefits are retained for years to come. And I think we've seen that on both electrical and communication side.
Awesome. Okay, so one last question. If there's an employer who's on the fence about registered apprenticeship, what advice would you give them?
I would advise them to look closely at the advantages and all the aspects of the program, and consider overcoming that hesitation. As a contractor since 1998, I've dealt with the apprenticeship program through all that period, through busy times and through slow times, and there really have been no disadvantages to it. I think the key is to be as involved as possible in the program. Don't look at an apprenticeship program simply as a temporary service, or you'll get the same benefits that you get from dealing with a temporary service. If you become a partner, a true partner with that apprenticeship organization, and be involved in developing and expanding their program, that partnership and that teamwork will pay dividends, and there really are no disadvantages to a contractor who is invested in the program. But like everything in life, you'll get out of it what you put into it.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate both of you so much, John and Joseph. You've been very generous with your time today. You shared some very insightful things about registered apprenticeship and about this program, and I'm sure people have learned from your remarks. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. We're going to head up to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We're going to speak with another training provider, Empower. And for those of you who have not heard of Empower, who may not be familiar, they create pathways to economic prosperity by launching digital careers for military veterans as well as young adults from underserved communities. And we have the pleasure of having the executive director for Empower Texas and California joining our discussion. He retired from the Marine Corps with 26 years of experience or of time as an infantry officer. He completed 10 overseas deployments, including 3 combat tours, and his post-retirement work has been focused on the veteran community. So Christopher Starling, thank you for your service and welcome to the program.
Hi, Alicia. Thank you. Really great to be here.
Excellent. So why don't you start off with the same, give us a little bit of information and background on Empower.
Sure. So Empower has been around for about 20 years. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, and we operate out of 7 states. So we're in New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Michigan, Missouri, Texas, and of course, California. And our program is basically this. We reach out to veterans and veteran spouses, very important. In Texas, we just serve veterans and veteran spouses. Out in California, we serve veterans, veteran spouses, and young adults from underserved communities. We bring them into our classes, and through a 23-week program, we train them in IT fundamentals. We get them certified CompTIA, ITF Plus, A+, as well as a basic Google certification. And then we take them and help them get jobs. And we do that mostly by putting them into IT apprenticeships. We're a Department of Labor IT apprenticeship registered partner. And so in 6 months, we can take people out of poverty and put them solidly into the middle class. That is the model. And the way I explain it to people, I've got training, tech training, I've got professional development, everything from resume writing to your LinkedIn profile to workforce policies, guest speakers. I've got a social support manager dedicated that calls every student once a week. Do you have a roof over your head? Do you have food? Do you have your laptop? Do you have Wi-Fi? Good to go. We check on everybody. So there's a social support piece. And then we have a job placement team. My favorite team is that team that's business development, going out there and finding employers that will bring our students in and bring them in many cases as IT apprentices for a 6-month period. And our program is 100% free.
Well, that's the best part. Awesome. So, okay, that's really interesting. Now, what exactly led Empower to develop that registered apprenticeship program?
Well, number one, the apprenticeship program was one of the fastest ways that we could get somebody who gets through our program a paycheck and benefits, right? The Department of Labor, getting that certificate as a registered apprenticeship, that is credibility. That adds to their resume. And so the other thing that it does is it brings to bear all the resources that the Department of Labor has. And sometimes that is in the way of funding. And it's also for us marketing. Being part of the greater Department of Labor and making apprentices, everybody recognizes that as a great thing. So that's what led us down that path to apprenticeship. It's just a natural move after you've trained somebody to get them that on-the-job experience, aid, and benefits.
Agreed. So did you face any challenges? We heard from the other panelists about some of the challenges. Did you have any challenges developing the program?
Sure. Anything you roll out, there are challenges with it. In terms of apprenticeships, I think the biggest challenge is to convince employers that this is good for them. And we've done several things to that. We have reduced the administrative burden for our employer partners. We take that on and help with that in a big way. The other thing we do is some of our apprenticeships, we keep our students on our Empower payroll. So we send them to the employer. The employer will pay us separately a fixed fee, and we will then distribute that money to our apprentices and put them on our payroll. That allows those employers to test drive or try before you buy. And most of our students, once they graduate and they go to work in an apprenticeship category, over half of them get hired full-time after they've been in a firm for a while. So yes, we've had challenges, but a lot of employers say, hey, what's in it for me? And hey, I don't want the government coming into my business necessarily. It's not that. And so we have a lot of experience with apprenticeships, and we grease the skids with the employers that it's a good thing for them, and it's a good thing for the young man or woman that we're putting into their company.
Agreed. Now, speaking of apprentices, you brought up the apprentices and the successes you've had with them. I know you brought a couple of guests along today. Could you introduce them?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about this, but the proof is in these awesome graduates that we have. So I've got two with me. I've got Daquan Weatherspoon, who is at Citibank. He's a business analyst, and he's also a Marine Corps veteran. And I think he's still actually in the Marine Corps Reserves. I've also got Jonay Sarver. Jonay came through as a military spouse through Empower training. She's also currently at Citibank as a project manager. So I'll let them talk because they've got the true war stories of apprenticeship.
Excellent. Well, okay, Daquan and Jonay, thank you both for your service and sacrifice and for joining us today. Maybe I'll start off with you, Daquan. Can you tell us about how you learned about the Empower Apprenticeship?
Yeah, so I think I kind of have, I guess, sort of a small success story with it. I used to do private security actually at the Citibank locations. And essentially, I tell everybody it's such a funny story because I essentially had a guy who was a previous Marine veteran as well. And he kind of just sat down with me and talked to me about the different pathways I could go in IT and stuff. And then, of course, working security, I get to work at the front desk, basically, and check people in. I mean, I meet everybody who comes to the front door and everything. And I guess just with that, connections were kind of built. And I was able, I guess I befriended somebody who was an admin to, I guess, just like one of the kind of top guys upstairs at a Citibank and stuff like that. And essentially, she told me about the program and mentioned how, like, yeah, there's this program out there that, I got some guys that just went through it, and then essentially they got to start working here. And I was like, well, how does that work? And then she had them come down and talk to me about it. And they basically ran me through the whole program. And honestly, I tell everybody that it sounded pretty sketchy because it was like two people like kind of come into your door and knocking on it and be like, hey, come join this program and stuff like that. And it was really kind of funny. So, and I honestly, the expectations that are now, like, I guess going through the program, I can't say enough like good things about it, honestly. I mean, it really is amazing what they do. It's completely free. It makes me sound like I'm a salesperson for it now, because I'm always telling everybody about it. Yeah, you should look at Empower. You should look at Empower. And of course, I still currently serve in the Marine Corps Reserves right now as a platoon sergeant. So I'm always trying to get my guys to go and, look into Empower and reach out to them and try to tell them like what a great opportunity it is, So and literally within a year, it kind of like really flipped around my complete situation from working security, working 46 to 60 plus hours a week, not making that much, and then with going through the Empower program, apprenticeship and everything like that, and then recently getting hired on at Citibank this last January, actually. So I mean, really just turned everything around.
Well, congratulations. I mean, hard work pays off. It sounds like you worked really hard to get where you're at now. So, okay, did you have any surprises along the way, things that you didn't expect with the apprenticeship?
I'd say, aside from the fact that my expectations weren't that high, because I honestly didn't expect the program to follow through suit as it did, I will say that the way that the team operated within the Empower, the instructors, the career team, as you mentioned, the support team, everything, like the connections are just crazy. I mean, and even now it's weird because the connections that we kind of learned from that pass on through each group that goes through Empower. So I'm sure Janae will also mention, we keep in contact, like my group that I all went through class with and stuff like that. We still talk every day in Group Me, and one of them messaged me today on Skype teasing me. It's just like we keep in contact and everything. So it's really crazy. And then as a new incoming classes come in, we also take responsibility and accountability to mentor them and help guide them through the process. Because it sounds, I'm telling you, like it sounds so sketchy. And it sounds like not real at all, that you can go through a program that's completely free and all you got to basically do is be a veteran or a veteran spouse, and you can end up being successful as long as you do what you're supposed to do in the program. So.
Well, I think the program sounds amazing. I'm so happy that you were able to come and share your experience with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Now, okay, Jonae, I saw you nodding your head while Juan was talking. So I think you identify with a little bit of his experience, but why don't you tell us a little about what your experience was like with Empower?
I had a great experience. The same as that Daquan mentioned, was a little skeptical. Everything sounded really sketchy. I actually found Empower through an online post. So from that point, I'm like, oh, you can't believe everything you read. I came down from Maryland to Texas. I had to just see it for myself. So met the teams there, the recruiters were just awesome. And just, you felt like family. You walked in the door, you felt like family. And from that point, I was in. I moved from Maryland and came to Texas just for the program. And when I initially came, I didn't even know that they had the apprenticeship option. I just was coming for the couple weeks of training to get the certifications, and I got picked up by Citibank, and from there it took off. I think my manager, within about 3 weeks of working in the apprenticeship, he told me he was saving a spot for me, that he was planning on hiring me permanently. So that just kind of just changed everything for me. Just even my career, my education has, everything has just kind of gone from a place where I felt as though I was struggling as far as trying to get my foot in the door with just a median level career. And Empower really helped me with that as far as the IT industry is concerned.
Oh yeah. So would you recommend this program? It sounds like you would definitely recommend it.
Absolutely. I continue to recommend it to other military spouses, just military veterans that I know, young adults. I know some of the other locations, they work with young adults as well. You can't say enough about it. And as once again, as Dr. Kwan mentioned, you sound like a salesman yourself, but you are that proof. You can say, no, I was skeptical, but I went through the process and I've come out on another end. And you have to trust the process with Empower, because I tell people it's a place where a lot of people find it at a very rough place in life. And it's almost like a last resort. It's like, you know what, I've tried everything. Why not just give this a shot? And when you put in the work and the time and effort, it truly pays off. And it has for me. So.
Awesome. So what's next for you? I mean, like, what's on the horizon? What's the next milestone?
Currently, I'm working on my master's in software engineering and looking to move over into the data analytics industry for IT. So that's kind of my goals right now. And really the foundation was set at Empower to even have my mind transition to achieve those goals. So that's the plans for me, short-term and long-term.
That's amazing. I mean, that's so cool that you got started with that. I feel like a lot of people really don't understand how registered apprenticeship is this pathway, right? It's not just that you get to a certain part and you just stop, but we're actually setting people on a pathway. And like now you're moving on to your master's, which is incredible. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you all. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Daquan. Thank you, Jonay, for joining us. This was such a fun panel to do. I mean, all of you have such great energy and so many good experiences to share. It sounds like Empower is doing amazing things all across this nation. So thank you for your hard work. And we are going to actually, bye, Chris. We're going to move on to our final piece of our program today. I'm kind of sad that we're already at the end. I feel like it flew by. We have a couple of our friends who are joining us from the Department of Labor's Texas Leadership Team. They'll share some information about IT apprenticeship programs. And first of all, Mr. Lee Price, he's our Texas State Director. He's responsible for managing a hardworking team of apprenticeship and training representatives throughout the state. We also have Mr. Troy Johnson, the Deputy Regional Director for Region 4, which includes 11 states, but obviously the most important of those is the great state of Texas. All right, well, Lee and Troy, welcome and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Alicia. Commissioner Desi, Alicia, and the entire Texas Workforce Commission staff, you guys are great partners. We love being a part of this team and hope to continue here a long, long time. Together, we are advancing apprenticeship in Texas. Last year, to back up a little bit and let you know a little bit of history, last year we registered 103 new programs right in the middle of COVID and all the other things that went on in that year. Right now, we have 528 programs in Texas. We have 18,801 apprentices as of this morning. So far in this year, we have registered 29 new programs, and we have registered 2,452 new apprentices in the country. We've completed 560. Now, my part here today, I want to introduce you to the next speaker. This guy is certainly not new in Texas. He was ATR in San Antonio for years. The position that he fills now has been vacant for a while. It's actually been changed a little bit. And Troy Johnson is many of you know him and have worked with him, is the new Deputy Regional Director for Region 4. So Troy's going to talk to you a little bit along the same theme that we've been talking about. And I want to turn it over to Troy now. Troy, take it away.
Great, Lee. Well, thank you for that introduction there. And I just want to say thank you again to Commissioner Alvarez, Desi, and Alicia, and the whole team over there at Texas Workforce Commission. You know, sometimes we think that it's just the folks in the apprenticeship side that's been great partners, but it's the whole commission that's been partners with us over these years and helped the apprenticeship to grow. You know, I had a couple things I was just going to say real quick, but after, you know, that talk from Daquan and Jonay, I mean, it was just, man, it was uplifting just to hear the apprentice talk about how well the program is and how well they're doing. You know, information technology is one that, you know, for years, the Department of Labor had looked to invest in that area and try to grow apprenticeship in information technology. You know, nowadays, some folks call it information, communication, and technology as we move on down the road with it. I remember back in probably 2009, I wrote my first program with a company called Computer Nerds. Just a simple help desk technician program. It was probably one or two computer programs in the state of Texas and not that many across the country. Since then, with the help of our partners at the Texas Workforce Commission, I'll give a shout out to the local Alamo Workforce Board. We have really grown the IT space or the ICT space, and now we have apprenticeship programs in secure software development, computer programmer, digital marketer, and of course, one of the most important ones is cybersecurity. So we have programs in Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, that's all, dealing with ICT and dealing with what we like to look at as well as digital skills. Because as the commissioner said earlier, there's not an industry that exists out there that in some way, some form or fashion is not going to touch on digital skills. And so, the apprenticeship program, we're glad to see, we have this national strategy that, especially here in Texas, that really have weighed in on this national strategy to try and really grow apprenticeship. And it just shows again how a great state and federal partnership can work together to really grow and expand apprenticeship. And we're always asked by our folks out of the national offices, man, how does Texas continue to grow? We've had periods where we had manpower that have dropped, but for some reason we're constantly on this uptick. And we always respond, our regional director, Dudley, will respond and say, you know why? It's because we have a great partnership. Commissioner Alvarez and his team and Desi and her folks have done just a tremendous job of really supporting apprenticeship and really helping us to promote it. And it's just done great. So again, I just want to thank y'all for giving us this time to have a few minutes to speak. And thank you to all the panelists that have so much, have invested so much in registered apprenticeship and support registered apprenticeship. And I say this wholeheartedly. Registered apprenticeship is a national strategy. We used to be this little boutique thing that stood on the side and moved one way or another, but it really is a national strategy. And it's great to see that Texas was one of the first to kind of lean in and create that partnership as we try to further develop this national strategy and grow registered apprenticeship. And lastly, I'll just say, just like everyone else, we're trying to modernize. We use IT in our area. So, programs out there, we've done a lot to try and make apprenticeship and registering programs in apprenticeship as easy as possible. We like to say we're trying to create that TurboTax experience. So you can easily go out to apprenticeship.gov. If you want to get started, we have tools out there that'll help you start registering your program, start developing your program standards, and get you going. So we're trying to weigh in also on that ICT realm and make sure that we're utilizing those digital skills in the same way. But in case that's something that doesn't work for you, we have just an excellent team of apprenticeship and training representatives around the state that's there to assist you. And we also like to say, not only do we have the DOL apprenticeship and training representative, but we also have the folks from states and from the local boards that we consider our multipliers that are constantly out there helping us to get the job done. So again, we just appreciate the invite, appreciate everybody's here. And again, we just thank you for your interest and involvement in registered apprenticeship.
Well, excellent. Thank you both so much, Lee and Troy, for those remarks. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a slide after this one, and Troy just alluded again to our apprenticeship and training representatives. So there is some contact information for the team he was referring to. Again, all of the slides and the recording will also be available along with the Q&A on our website in the coming weeks if you're not able to capture that. But we did just want to give you a minute to grab that information or maybe take a picture. All right, well, I think that about does it for today's program. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you to our panelists, to everyone who presented and had a part in today's program. We appreciate you. We really, truly did learn new things, and it was nice to meet all of you along the way. I'd also like to give a special shout out to a couple of my team members, Miss Ann Pham, who is doing the Zoom production today, as well as Kimberly Patterson, who volunteered to head up the chat and responding to folks' questions. I appreciate both of you so much. As well as everyone who was able to attend. Like we mentioned, we'd love to hear from you. It says there to take our survey. You should be able to see the link either as soon as you close out, or if you go over to the chat, we'll post a link to the survey so that you can let us know what you thought. We're always trying to make these events even better. So thank you again, and we hope to see you at the next one.